Here now is Solutionaries.
I now call them trickle chargers because they gave me only 4 to 5 miles per hour of charge, meaning a full battery could take days.
Safety. So that is our primary objective.
I was out of power here for 9 days. It's pretty horrifying.
SunRail is a really solution for me because, like, the prices are really good and you don't have to drive a far commute to where you're going.
You have to cut down on speeding because you can't go real fast. But, you know, you fear that you're going to blow out a tire or break an axle or something.
Are we all set? You ready for this ride, Reed?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Do it.
Hey everyone, welcome to Solutionaries. I'm Louis Bolden. That word, Solutionaries, what does it mean, right? It's simple. The people in your community that focus on making a positive impact, those people, the creative thinkers and difference makers, those people are Solutionaries. Now, if you'd like to see exactly what we're talking about, check out the outstanding efforts we've highlighted already. So many extraordinary stories are available on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Solutionaries. Today, we're hitting an issue that affects all of us. We're talking about infrastructure. Not a super exciting word, I know, but each and every one of us have to get from point A to point B, and the journey between A and B can be difficult. And when we say difficult, we're all familiar with these guys, right? Potholes. They're just a nuisance. They can be expensive. And what about solutions? Believe it or not, we've got some. We'll take a look at the issue in 2 different cities. First, in Detroit, where the roads are notoriously bad. And we're also looking at solutions for flooding and power outages. Victor Williams has the story.
We've talked to people about their main infrastructure concerns, and they gave us a lot to think about. We looked for a response to problems, details on how those responses work, evidence on how that support is actually getting the job done, and we know that a perfect solution to all of this does not exist. So we'll take a look at the limitations, but first, back to the problem.
Davison Freeway to 75, and there's always a pothole there.
Right now, I'm having flooding still.
There's a lot of people out there that were without power for a long time, and I really feel for them.
Seems like people we spoke to had problems with potholes, basement flooding, and power outages living in the state of Michigan. But what could be some of the solutions to these infrastructure woes? Let's start with the most simple one, potholes. A new study has found that Michigan roads contain some of the most potholes in the entire country.
My tax dollars should be going to the betterment of the roads, and insurance should give us a discount because of the potholes in Michigan or Detroit.
MDOT folks, government folks, we all drive the same roads, so we all have the same unfortunate things happen to our vehicles. It's during the extreme differences in temperatures in the late fall and early spring when we really get so many of them. And when you get one in an area, even if we go out and fix that, there's going to be more in that same area for the same reason.
And while there's no way of keeping an eye on every single pothole, they take care of as many as they're aware of. But it takes drivers reporting them to the pothole hotline to begin with.
We get somebody out there usually within 24 hours to get that addressed.
In some rare cases, MDOT will even reimburse a driver for damage as well. But once again, those cases are rare. Moving along to basement flooding, it's a constant problem for Jamaica Jackson in the Brightmoor community.
Especially when it rained like that 40 days and 40 nights last summer, we flooded, I don't know, maybe almost every day for at least a month.
The smell of overflowing sewage is also another reason to cause a stink for Michael Newson.
You can smell it through the night, you can smell it anytime through the day. You know, it's tough to keep our door open because the water, it stands and it's like a marsh out there sometimes.
In response, the Detroit Sewage and Water Department is adding on to their multi-million-dollar stormwater project to collect rainwater and runoff so streets don't flood along with basements.
We're going to install 24 bioretention practices to manage stormwater throughout this area.
Lastly, power outages are downright horrible in southeast Michigan. Last year, nearly 700,000 people spent a week in the dark.
I was out of power here for 9 days. It's pretty horrifying. It disrupts every aspect of your life, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
But that wasn't the case for the city of Wyandotte.
The longest it was out was this last time, and I think it went out about 8 o'clock at night and it came back on at 5 in the morning. And that's the longest it's ever been out.
The reasoning behind that is the city is only one of 3 in the region that has its own power supply since the year 1894.
One of the benefits that the residents and businesses of Wyandotte have is that it's locally controlled. So my bosses at the end of the day are the residents of Wyandotte, so there's accountability.
General Manager of Municipal Services Paul Amin says because of that, many issues are easier to solve. At the end of the day, it's the residents that benefit the most.
A lot of the residents, you have some bragging rights when your electricity is up, and your neighbors a couple miles to the west may not have theirs up yet. I know it's unfortunate, but there is some local pride in being able to say that you're up and running before other people are.
We're not going to lie, a lot of these problems don't have the easiest solutions, but at least the officials who are here also are trying to make things better one step at a time. Helplines to locate and fix potholes are important, yes. We know it may sound basic, but you need to actually report these problems to get results. Also, when it comes to flooding, environmental engineers can help your community. Be vigilant and let your community leaders know that you have issues that you're facing, and educate yourself with all of the resources that are possible, even the ones like a separate power grid. Just remember, if you know of the change that exists, you have the power to make that change in your communities.
Scan this QR code to read more about this city's powerful move to keep residents plugged in. Electric vehicles, or EVs, are becoming more common on our roadways. The Environmental Protection Agency estimates that there are about 3 million electric vehicles in America today, a number growing substantially every year. But are we set up to help keep EVs charged and running? Do we have enough electric charging stations? Do we have enough of the right kinds of charging stations? And are they in the right places? Vic Michelucci had these questions and looked for answers in Florida.
Well, hey, congratulations, Vic, on the new car here.
We're at a Jacksonville dealership, Tom Bush. They've agreed to let us test drive an EV for a few days.
All right, so to start the car, you put your foot in the brake there. All right. And now to get it into drive, just twist it upwards.
Look at the wrist.
And you see how it lights up yellow? Yeah. So that's your drive mode there.
This is Volkswagen's ID4. It's an SUV that starts around $41,000. It's one of more than 40 types of electric vehicles on the market in the U.S. right now, with just about every major car maker dipping into the market. Although there is a learning curve for those leaving the gas-powered world, it did not take long for us to be on the road for an emissions-free weekend. The range is said to be around 300 miles, and I wanted to test every mile of that.
Good to meet you.
Good to see you. While we're out for this drive, let's connect with Bill Bortsfield.
Welcome to another episode of EV Rider.
He's a lifelong journalist who now blogs about EVs. He has 2 electric cars and a battery-powered motorcycle.
All right.
Today, he's taking us for a cruise in his Ford Mustang Mach-E.
We are pretty much an all EV family, although I have a second bike, which is gasoline, but our 2 cars and the motorcycle are electric.
Does that keep you grounded, or do you still get to travel?
Oh gosh, no. Well, let's see. Right now I've got 23,900 miles on this. Last week we got back from Deals Gap, North Carolina. We towed the Zero up with this car, and then we rode the Zero around North Carolina and Tennessee.
You're driving all these places?
All these places in the Mach-E. Yep.
On my test drive, I learned the hard way that many EV chargers are level 1 or level 2, not superchargers. I thought I could still get a decent boost at many of these pay-per-use stopovers, but I was quickly disappointed. I now call them trickle chargers because they gave me only 4 to 5 miles per hour of charge, meaning a full battery could take days, which is why so many people have range anxiety. The White House says right now there's about 130,000 electric vehicle charging stations nationwide. The goal by 2030 is for 500,000.
I mean, you got to keep in mind, they're a lot more efficient in terms of energy units burned than gasoline.
So for now, the limitations are finding superchargers, higher prices than comparable combustible engines, and range for long-term trips. But the future for this quickly evolving technology is bright.
We have a lot of solutions still to come.
Houston's so-called Vision Zero plan is supposed to end traffic deaths in this city by the year 2030.
See what it looks like when we come back. Welcome back to Solutionaries, where we highlight people in our communities driven to create a positive impact. Today, we're taking you on the road, bringing you infrastructure solutions from all over the country. We know our streets have issues, and so do our bridges. But just how bad is it? And what is getting done to fix the issues? Joel Eisenbaum got behind the wheel and set out on a journey for answers.
The United States is behind in a key area. When it comes to roads and bridges and tunnels, we're kind of in trouble. In fact, the World Economic Forum ranks the United States 13 when it comes to infrastructure. In Houston, Texas, though, they're thinking a little differently. Their solution isn't to add more car lanes, but to subtract them.
There's buckles everywhere. A lot of them are small buckles, so you have a bump, a bump, a bump. You know, that doesn't make it smooth for the riders or for your vehicles.
Houston's already home to the widest highway in the world, I-10, what the locals call the Katy Freeway. It spans a staggering 26 lanes on Houston's west side. Are we supposed to keep building more lanes? With an ever-expanding population, that plan is ultimately untenable. So who's got a solution?
David Fields, Chief Transportation Planner, the City of Houston.
Mr. Fields is the very first person to hold that newly created job. And among his many tasks, convincing you not to drive, at least not as much.
First thing is try one step. It's not you have to give up your car forever, you're never going to drive again. This is not a binary yes or no conversation. This is you make a lot of different trips throughout the week. And maybe it's not taking the bus on the first one. Maybe it's walking to school with your child that day. Maybe it is biking to the park one afternoon when you get home from work. Whatever it is, just recognize that through the course of the week you have so many different trips. Let's start talking about other options for some of them.
And just over 200 miles southwest of Houston in San Antonio, a crater-sized problem has emerged. Stephen Cavazos introduces us to the Pothole Patrol.
Whatever road you drive on is full of it.
She wasn't kidding. Left, right, and center, we found potholes on almost every nearby street.
Yeah. Condition of the roads here in Jourdanton is pretty bad.
For some cities, there is a solution. For others, they're working towards that and say, you know, there is not one fix-all solution for this problem.
When I come to see my son, I got to go zigzag, zigzag around those holes. Terrible. Well, they need to go ahead and do it, you know, and fix them. What's the holdup, you know?
Let's move from the roads to the tracks. The commuter rail system has a long history here in America. It took root back in the early 1800s, but automobiles quickly became the preferred mode of transportation, and now the streets are more clogged than ever before. So the question is an old solution new again? Eric Sandoval catches a ride looking for answers.
Hey there, I'm Eric Sandoval, and we're in Winter Park, Florida, which is just north of Orlando. You know, the Orlando metro area is really a commuter area. People travel 30, maybe even more miles to and from work every day. And for some of them, commuter rail is their solution to avoiding gridlock entirely.
There's a really solution for me because, like, the prices are really good and you don't have to drive a far commute to where you're going.
And while it may not get you everywhere, it's growing. And it's also creating new communities for people to live and to stop and explore.
And this new station will bring even more economic opportunities to downtown DeLand and the surrounding communities.
2, 1.
But here's the thing, SunRail isn't solving everybody's problems.
We met Jamel on our website, clickorlando.com, where we asked people,
What are your feelings about SunRail solving Central Florida's traffic issues? Well, people had a lot to say about that. Jeff said we need a leg to connect to the airport, while Robert said we need an east-west line to go to more suburbs. Jeff and Robert, we're going to show you how that could soon be changing. Lisa said we need to help people get to and from the train. She calls it that last mile. But for some riders, that isn't a problem, and I want to show you. Let's head up the tracks to Longwood.
I'd probably live here and work and go downtown. I don't know if I'd want to stay downtown.
Tom Kruger is Longwood's Director of Economic Development. Get this, he says since SunRail roared into Longwood 10 years ago, 2,000 apartments, 150 townhomes, and more than 200 single-family homes have been built in this small community. And that's boosted the average income more than their economic projections.
The station is right here.
And that means more demand for retail.
As you're going to see more restaurants, you're going to see availability, being able to have some choices of where to eat. So we're excited about it.
That's
and
fantastic.
It really started with this being put in place.
Scan the QR code for a deeper look into SunRail and the possible solutions the railroad offers. Our Solutionaries team asked you to tell us about the issue you face on the roads. We wanted to know, not assume, to know, and you told us that dangerous roads are a problem for you. I-81 in Virginia is a notoriously problematic highway, known for congested drives, lots of large trucks, and fatal accidents. These problems are a large reason why Virginia is staring at about $5 billion worth of projects. But many feel the fixes are worth the money. Jenna Zipton has the story.
What are the biggest problems that we're seeing with Interstate 81 that you are working to fix?
Well, it's really twofold. The first one here is on my lapel, and that's safety. So that is our primary objective, is making Interstate 81 as safe as we possibly can with the money that is available to us. And the second is reducing congestion. And those two things are really closely tied. You know, safety issues create congestion, congestion creates safety. So if we can solve those two problems in our top 20% problematic areas along Interstate 81, it will make a big impact. I'm Dave Covington, VDOT's I-81 Program Delivery Director. It is a significant work zone, a lot of activity right now. The suite of projects that we're delivering right now is valued at around $2.7 billion. And there's another $2 to $3 billion worth of identified projects that haven't even been brought into the program yet, but will over time.
Is this the biggest project you've ever taken on?
I think programmatically, yeah, from a dollar value perspective. So we've added 30 additional digital message signs along the corridor. We've added more than 50 additional cameras which help our traffic operations centers identify issues on the interstate so we can respond more quickly.
There are more than 2,000 crashes every year. 1 in 4 involve heavy trucks, the highest percentage for any interstate in Virginia. And some are deadly. 141 people died on Interstate 81 over the last 5 years.
So the first thing that we've done as part of our operational projects is deploy a TRIP program, which is a towing and recovery incentive program, which incentivizes our towing operators to mobilize quickly, clear crashes quickly, and we've seen positive results on that. The smart thing is that we did look at data. We use data to develop the solutions. So we look at crash data, we look at congestion data, so that we know that we're making a good investment with the taxpayer dollars.
Check out the full story on our YouTube page. Okay, it's your turn to tell us about Solutionaries in your area. You know, the people fixing issues in your community with creative ideas. Just scan the QR code and help us celebrate those problem solvers. If you know of an issue or you're looking for help, let us know that too. We'd love to connect you to people who make things better. We've talked about many infrastructure solutions, which you can see here. Let us know if you think we missed anything. And remember, you can see all the solutions we've uncovered at youtube.com/Solutionaries. And if you want to watch on the big screen, just download the new 6 Plus app for your smart TV. It's a platform for all of our podcasts to watch on demand anytime you want.